Chapter 22. Calm Before the Storm. The clock neared midnight as the command center buzzed with quiet anticipation. The Parsons' intricate living mathematics plan, honed to precision, was finally being put into action. All roles had been assigned, every risk calculated, and any doubts pushed aside, for now. 3 black vans idled in the dimly lit parking bay beneath the command center, their steel frames reflecting faint blue light from the overhead monitors. Peter stood near the lead van, cross-checking mission data one last time on his handheld tablet. Around him, soldiers loaded up gear, secured weapons, and whispered last-minute orders to one another. The air roared with tension. Peter announced loudly,
"All right, people. You know the drill. First team's with me. Henry, Amma, you're loading up in this van. Paul, Charlie, Mangino, you're in the second van. Kevin, Pedro, and your soldiers, you're in the third. Remember, randomized seating, no discernible patterns. We don't want anyone picking up on specific formations. Everyone clear?"
A united chorus of, "Yes, sir!" echoed throughout the bay. Charlie asked his father with a grin,
"Randomized seating, huh? Dad, have you been reading my tactical logs again?"
Peter responded with a smirk.
"And grade your setups? Not a chance."
The room filled with a few nervous chuckles, dissipating just a touch of the tension as one by one, the teams dispersed into their vans. While the vans began filling up and preparing to depart, back in the command center, Jenny, Francine, Linda, Candy, Chris, and Ruby settled into their positions. The holographic screen displayed an interactive map of the region, their GPS systems tracking all 3 vans in real time with small glowing icons. Keisha Jones stood apart by the detainment area, keeping a hawk's eye on the captured soldiers. Francine alternated between wringing her hands nervously and watching the screen as Linda leaned in closer, squinting to catch all the moving pieces. Ruby eyed the map closely.
"And there they go! Operation Colonel Jailbreak is officially underway,"
Chris replied with a glance.
"Ruby."
Ruby grinned.
"What? It's catchy!"
Candy said from her chair.
"Catchy, also terrifying."
Linda tried to project confidence.
"We have to trust them. They've planned this down to the last detail."
Francine said with a low voice, as if she were speaking to herself.
"I just hope Henry knows what he's doing."
Chris attempted to ease his mother's concerns.
"He'll be fine, Mom. Uncle Peter will keep him safe."
As the last van pulled out of the parking bay and the automatic doors sealed behind it, a dark figure crouched in the distance on a small hill overlooking the command center. Dressed in black, with his badge barely visible in the moonlight, Sergeant Dunning of the Catonsville Police Department adjusted his focus on his night vision binoculars. His lips curled into a sinister grin as the last van disappeared into the tree-lined road. He muttered to himself,
"I've got you now, Peter Parsons."
Standing quickly but deliberately, Dunning sprinted to his unmarked blue Chevy Impala parked nearby. He slid into the driver's seat, slammed the door shut, and yanked the radio mic off the dashboard.
"Dispatch, this is Dunning. I've got confirmed movement on Parsons and his crew, heading westbound toward..."
He paused, noting the lack of road markings nearby.
"Sector 3, I'm going to tail them."
Dunning began typing something on his dashboard.
"I'm sending coordinates to Parsons Command Center. Send a team there, but do not engage until I give the order."
Before receiving a confirmation, he tossed the mic aside, fired up the engine, and tore down the dirt road after the convoy. Inside the lead van, Peter gripped the steering wheel, his face stern. Major Amma sat in the passenger seat, her gaze fixed on their surroundings, while Henry shifted nervously in his seat among the 6 soldiers in the back. Peter glanced at Henry in the rearview mirror, his voice gentle but firm.
"Hey, little brother, you doing all right back there?"
Henry let out a shaky laugh.
"Honestly, no. I'm nervous. For one, I'm not exactly trained for this. And 2, if I mess this up..."
Major Amma interrupted with authority.
"You won't mess up. Your job is to watch our backs, not lead the charge. Leave the hard stuff to us."
Her confidence grounded Henry, though his nervousness lingered.
I'll try. I don't want to be the weak link.
Peter locked eyes with him in the mirror.
You're not the weak link, Henry. None of us would be here without your brains and your heart. Focus on that.
Major Amma spoke with a faint smile.
Zeke would have been proud of everything you and your brother have done so far, Henry. He's one of the toughest men I've ever served under. And as brilliant as Chris and Ruby are, I think he'd find them fascinating. You too.
Henry managed a smile at the compliment, though he still fidgeted with his hands. Meanwhile, in the second van, Charlie drove with Mangino beside him, her face steady and focused. Paul sat in the back, surrounded by 6 field soldiers, though his nervous hand tapping against his knee revealed his state of mind. Charlie caught it in the mirror. He asked in an amusing tone,
Hey, Paul. You nervous or are you trying to solve a math problem on your knee?
Paul chuckled nervously.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. It's not my world, you know? I'm not combat trained.
Mangino turned to him.
That's why we're here, Paul. Me, Charlie, and these soldiers, we're the muscle. You don't have to worry about that.
I appreciate that. But this mission, this revolution, I just feel like I need to be here. Not just for Candy, but for all of us.
Paul looked down at his feet. Mangino nodded softly.
I get that.
After a short pause, Paul looked over at her more intently.
If you don't mind me asking, are you leaving anyone behind? Husband? Boyfriend?
Mangino answered quickly.
A wife. Ex-wife, actually.
Charlie almost swerved at her response, a sly grin spreading across his face.
Nice?
Mangino rolled her eyes with a smirk.
For the record, I like men too. I just like women more.
Charlie responded with an even wider grin.
Noted.
Her smirk faltered, replaced with flushed embarrassment as Peter's voice suddenly crackled through the comm system.
Mika, just a reminder that open comms mean the entire team can hear you, so maybe save the personal revelations for later.
Jenny gave a tiny smile, showing interest in Mangino's revelation. Ruby's voice followed, laced with humor.
Yeah, Mika, careful. The government might find that interesting too.
Mangino blushed and spoke with a flustered tone.
I'm done speaking on this subject.
Chris commanded calmly to Ruby.
Stay out of grown-up conversations.
Ruby clapped back with a defiant response.
Chris, we're leading a revolution. Pretty sure that adds at least a decade to our lives.
Major Amma chuckled, along with Charlie, though Peter's sharp tone quickly returned.
Ruby, off the comms unless it's vital or an emergency. Got it?
Got it, Uncle P. Ruby out!
As they neared their destination, the air in all 3 vans grew heavier. Peter's voice came through the comm system one final time.
All right, listen up. We're 5 minutes out. From this point forward, look alive and stay on mission. Let's get Zeke Haywood.
The affirmations that followed were sharp, disciplined, and resolute. Operation Rescue had begun.